Welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be talking about Operation Paperclip. And, it kind of sounds like, right, something you'd see in a spy movie, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But this is like real history, you know?
Uh,
And it's got all this crazy stuff, all these, like, twists and turns, and, yeah, morally, it's just all over the place.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
So, like,
good Greek.
picture this, okay. World War II, it's just ended.
Okay.
Cold War's getting started. And right away, the U.S. and the Soviets, they're, head to head.
Yeah.
They want to get the best scientists, the best engineers, all that.
In the U.S., they kind of had this, like, secret weapon, right? This list of
Uh,
all these German scientists and engineers.
exactly.
And it was put together by this guy, Werner Ozenberg.
Uh-huh.
Now, we've got some sources here, like, Wikipedia. There's also this description of an event they did at the Museum of Jewish Heritage. And it really paints a picture, of what was going on back then.
That's right, yeah. So this Ozenberg list, that's what they called it, right?
Okay.
It was basically like the all-star team of German scientists. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
wow.
and get this, they found it, the Allies, they found this list hidden in a toilet.
Wow. That's what a find.
Talk about a lucky break.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. But it wasn't just about, like, getting these names. They had to get these guys before the Soviets did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, the U.S., they knew how important these scientists were, especially for stuff like rockets,
Right.
aerospace engineering, all that.
So they started this thing called Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, right.
And they brought over 1,600, can you believe that?
Yeah.
German scientists, engineers, technicians, they all came to the U.S.
Huge undertaking, top secret.
Mm.
And, it brings up some tough questions about, like, what's right and wrong, right?
Right.
I mean, you got to remember, a lot of these guys, they worked for the Nazis.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, one of the biggest names in this whole thing was Wernher von Braun.
Oh, yeah, von Braun. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant rocket engineer.
Yeah.
He was the brains behind the V-2 rocket program.
Wow.
And, that was the weapon that terrified London during the war.
Right.
But here's the thing. He was also, a member of the Nazi Party
Oh, wow.
and the SS. So you got to ask yourself, how do you square that,
Yeah.
Like, he's this genius, but then there's this whole other side to him.
Right, yeah.
It's something that, historians, people who study ethics, they're still debating this.
Yeah.
Von Braun, he represents this whole, this whole problem at the heart of Operation Paperclip.
Right.
What do you do?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
not easy.
And his story is tied to this place, the Marshall Space Flight Center, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It became like this hub for all this new stuff, a mix of, German and American engineers
It's crazy.
working together
Imagine that. You've got former enemies. Yeah.
all in one place,
All right.
sharing all their knowledge, working towards the same goal.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I mean, it's a little unsettling, but, it's a part of history, science history.
It's a crazy chapter.
Yeah.
And, it led to, like, the Saturn V rocket. That's the big one. The one that took us to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
That was a result of all this.
The Saturn V, that was like the ultimate symbol of that collaboration.
Wow.
It combined technology from, von Braun's V2 rocket and U.S. Army missiles.
Okay.
It was really something.
So you can't deny the impact, right, of Operation Paperclip.
No.
But should we even, like, separate the good stuff, the science from the bad stuff, the compromises they made?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we got to figure out as we, dig deeper into this whole story.
Yeah.
It's not an easy question.
No.
There's no easy answers.
It's a question with no easy answers.
Yeah, but maybe we should, like, shift gears for a sec.
Mhm.
Like, how did these German scientists, some of them, they were like big shots in the Nazi regime, right? How did they fit into American society? I mean, that's got to be
Yeah, that's a good point.
a huge...
It wasn't just like, okay, trade in your uniform, you're good to go, right?
Yeah.
Their families, they had to move, new culture, always worried about people finding out about their past.
Oh, and the U.S. government, they were, like, super paranoid, Cold War and all.
Right.
So they did everything they could to protect these scientists. Like, they basically rewrote their histories,
Yeah.
Sometimes they just erased the whole Nazi thing altogether. It was like this big cover-up, to keep them safe from anyone who might ask questions.
So it's like, on one hand, you've got this amazing team, right? All this knowledge coming together, and it pushed the U.S. way ahead in the space race. But then on the other hand, you've got this, like, this dark side, all this secrecy, these moral compromises they made. Exactly. And it makes you think about some tough stuff, right? Were these scientists like truly on board with this horrible regime? Or were they just trying to survive, doing their science caught in the middle of all this history?
Yeah, and how do you, like, balance that,
Yeah.
right? Their contributions to American science with all the terrible things that
Yeah.
happened under the Nazis. I mean,
It's messy, man. It's like a tangled up mess.
yeah.
It's really important to remember that history, it's rarely just black and white. There's all
Mhm.
these shades of gray, these contradictions, things happen that nobody planned for,
Yeah.
And Operation Paperclip, it's like the perfect example of that. It makes you think hard about like the ethics of scientific progress
Yeah.
and how much the government should be involved, shaping all that.
Right.
And it also shows you like the human cost of these big historical events, right?
Uh-huh.
We always focus on the big names, the big discoveries, but we forget about the regular people, the people whose lives were changed forever because of all this.
Like the families of these scientists.
Exactly.
I mean, they were uprooted, thrown into this completely new world, and they had to live with, their family's past, all that baggage.
And then there's the victims of the Nazis. We can't forget about them,
Right.
Their suffering, it can't be ignored. And their stories, they're like the opposite of the chances these scientists got. The same scientists who, might have played a part in their oppression or at least benefited from it.
Yeah, it's a heavy reminder that history, it's made up of real people,
For sure.
each with their own story, their own struggles. And if we want to really understand Operation Paperclip, we got to look at those individual stories.
Absolutely. We got to go deeper than the headlines,
Yeah.
Get into the personal stories, the good, the bad, all of it. That's what shaped this crazy chapter in history.
So coming back to our main question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can we separate the scientific achievements from the moral compromises? I mean, that question, it's still causing all kinds of debate.
Yeah. People are still wrestling with it. There's no easy answer, no magic formula to weigh, the good of science against the bad, against being involved in a regime that did such awful things.
It shows us that history isn't like a nicely wrapped package, right?
No way.
It's messy, complicated. It's all about choices and consequences and what gets left behind.
Yeah.
And we got to deal with it.
And maybe, just maybe, by facing that, by looking at the hard truths, we can find a better way forward.
Right.
A more thoughtful way, a more ethical way to approach scientific progress, a way that learns from the past but still looks to the future.
It's pretty clear, right, that Operation Paperclip, it really changed history. But it's not like just some old story, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, the things that makes us think about, the ethics, all that, it's still important today,
Okay.
Like, think about all the crazy advancements, right? Artificial intelligence.
Right.
Genetic engineering. Even going to space, we're still trying to figure out where the line is. Like, what compromises are okay and what might happen that we don't expect.
So Operation Paperclip, it's like a warning, right?
Exactly.
Telling us to be careful, to pay attention.
Yeah, it shows us how important it is to be open and honest in science. All that secrecy with Operation Paperclip, that's what let them get away with so much stuff that wasn't right for way too long.
Yeah.
If people had talked about it, if the public knew, it could have prevented some bad things, people abusing their power, science going too far.
It's not enough to just be open about the science itself, right?
Right.
We got to know why they're doing it, who's paying for it, what it might do to society, all that.
Absolutely. We need to be smart about innovation.
Yeah.
Ethics, thinking about what's right and wrong, that has to be part of science from the very beginning, not something you tack on at the end.
So it sounds like we got to learn from our mistakes, right? The things they messed up, so we can do better in the future.
Exactly. We've got to understand how the choices they made back then affect us now. Looking at history, even the bad parts, it helps us be more ethical, more fair in how we approach science and progress.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here into Operation Paperclip, what's the one big thing you want our listeners to take away from this? What should they be thinking about?
Well, I think Operation Paperclip shows us that wanting to know things, that search for knowledge, it's powerful. It can do amazing things, but it can also do really bad things.
Yeah.
And, as we go further into science, into things we don't understand yet, we have to be excited, but also cautious. We got to have a strong sense of right and wrong, be honest and open, because the decisions we make now, they'll affect people for a long time.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thanks for taking us through this. It's been really, really interesting. Made me think a lot.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's been a fascinating deep dive for me too.